Okay, good evening, everyone. For those of you that I've not met before, my name is Susie Moore, and I'm going to be the host for this evening's club development sort of forum webinar. I want to run through some sort of the housekeeping rules and what we're going to be going through this evening. So first of all, just to sort of highlight how this session is going to work. Just so everybody is aware, we are recording the session, so if you would rather not be heard on that recording, please do type any questions that you have into the chat box, and we'll bring them up. If you could also say that you don't want your name mentioned, that would be fantastic, and I can just reiterate the question for the audience and answer it for you. Please do remain muted for the main session. That's just so everybody gets a nice clear sound and can hear what's being delivered this evening. And when we go into the discussion sections, if we can raise our hands using the raise a hand button, I'll show you where that is in a slight moment. Then we'll be able to, not get any background noise. Already covered that, sort of raise a hand while you're asking questions. And I just want to highlight that there is plenty of time built in for questions and discussions. We've got two main discussion areas to look at this evening. And so, yeah, please do hold any of your questions until that point in the presentation. If you do want to ask a question as we go, please again type it into the chat box for this evening, and I may be able to answer it as we go, or we'll wait till those breakout sessions to dive into those questions. So looking at the control panel that you should be able to see this evening, it's very similar to the one on the screen. You should see a microphone, which if it's green, it's telling you that your microphone is live. If it's greyed out or orange, it will be telling you that that is on mute. And then below that is that raise the hand button that I was mentioning before. And then to the right of those buttons are some drop-down boxes. So you should have one that will be able to control your audio. So if you are having any speaker or microphone issues, if you click into there, you'll be able to have a look at the settings and hopefully get that working from your end. I'm glad that people could hear me when I did my quick test before we went. So if you are having problems, please have a look there. You can also have a look at who else is on the call this evening by clicking on attendees, and then below that is the chat box function. So if you click on that plus or drop down arrow, you'll be able to open that up and have a look. So to get into this evening's subject, we're here to discuss how we can inspire more women and girls into boating using the World Sailing Steering the Course Festival that is coming up in May. For those of you, like I said, who don't know me, my name's Susie Moore, and I am the Regional Development Officer for the South Region, taking a lead on this initiative that the RA is getting involved with. In the terms of clubs and organisations point of view and supporting you to get involved also. Just to look at the aims of this evening, I hope by the end of this hour that we've got together that you'll have an increased understanding of the World Sailing Steering the Course opportunity. We'll take a look at sort of why we're highlighting this opportunity for you guys to get involved with, but why the RWA is also getting involved. And hopefully we would have had the opportunity to share ideas around how you and your club, your centre or your class association or boating charity could get yourselves involved. I've just seen a quick question that I will quickly have a look at before moving on. Thank you for that, Hester. I've taken note of that. saying that travelling and listening in rather than being able to participate. So the World Sailing Steering the Course Women's Festival. A quick overview of this initiative. The RYA's signed up to be involved, and we hope that you guys are going to join us in that. It is a world sailing initiative, and that does make it a global initiative as the world's body for sailing. The Northern Hemisphere's opportunity is a 10-day festival between the 21st and the 30th of May this year, and there will be a Southern Hemisphere's opportunity, and that's going to be happening in October. And I've got a quick video that I would like to share with you that will hopefully give you a taster of what the event is all about. So just give me 1 second as I get and find the video so I can play that. Just going to turn my webcam off. So hopefully that worked well for you all, and gave you a quick taster around what the Women's World Sailing, Steering the Course Women's Festival is all about. And to sort of bring that into some wording, and this is really how World Sailing are describing this initiative and their purpose and aims around it. And they're really looking to bring together sailing communities, highlighting the achievements of women that are already within the sport, but also using that to try and attract new people that have never tried it before, or potentially encouraging those that are in the sport to progress into new elements of that sport. So potentially they're a participant, and it may be encouraging them to become an instructor or a coach or part of a race management team within a club. And overall, the event aims to bring together women from across all generations, whether it's sailors, coaches, instructors, race officials, in a celebration of our sport and the women within it. So bringing out the key messages in those two quotations there, we've got bringing together women in our sport, highlighting the achievement of those women and girls I'm talking about here, so it's female participants as a catch-all, and then looking for that to inspire and attract new people into the sport and helping people to progress. So I hope that sums up what steering the course is all about and starts to give you some ideas around what we could be doing to get ourselves involved. But before we get into that discussion, I really just want to sort of touch onto why we're getting involved in this and why we believe it's so important. And you know, one of the main reasons why is that, you know, unfortunately in 2021, women still are an underrepresented group within our sport, especially when we look at going up through the levels within our sport. So such as instructors, race coaches, officials. The further you go up the chain in those pathways, the greater the gap is between sort of male and female representation there. The RWA is highlighting this opportunity to, you know, try and tackle this and be part, you know, this is part of our wider equality, diversity and inclusion strategy. And we hope by us getting involved and us supporting you as voting organisations, that we can inspire you to be part of this as well, and help us break down you know, women being an underrepresented group and create equality within our sport here. You know, for you guys on the call this evening, you know, we really hope that by you know, highlighting, you know, the women and girls that are in our sport and increasing our relevance to this group, we can actually increase the pool of potential members for your clubs, potential customers, and the workforce and volunteers for clubs as well. So, you know, we've got some key reasons for wanting to look at this area and get more people out on the water, participating in sailing in whichever form they wish to take part in it. So moving into sort of how we're getting involved, and I'll start with sort of the RWA's plan and what we're looking to do from an RWA point of view. And then we'll be going into two discussions around how you as organisations can also involve yourself, and the RWA is looking to support you in that area. So the RWA's plan is really to pick up on those key elements that we mentioned that World Sailing were looking to get out of this. So first of all, it was about highlighting the achievements and celebrating women in our sport. So we have a number of role models within the sport. We are, you know, very, very lucky. You know, we have a lot of activity going on. And so we are going to be highlighting those inspirational women as role models and their achievements within the sport. And look at their stories as well, and what activities, events and pathways they've taken to get to where they are. And coupled with highlighting those role models, we will be highlighting you know, activities and events that people can get involved with. That might be activities and events that are happening during those 10 days, or it could be events that are happening in the near future. So, for example, we've got the Women's Open Keelboat Championships that will be coming up in June. So we'll use this as an opportunity to highlight that event through the RWA channels. We've also got the RWA Women's Match Racing date set, and so we will highlight them as opportunities to get into competitive sort of keelboat racing and match racing. The other area that we really want to get involved with is highlighting our wider network and stakeholders' achievements and opportunities in this area, and that is really you guys on the call. we need to, to hear about them, and we want to work with you and create a almost social media style campaign around this, where we can pull out and highlight your stories, as well as the central plan that we're looking to move this forward. So to put that into a little bit more context, this might be quite hard to see on your screens, and I am going to sort of zoom in on 3 of the days. This is an initial look at what we're going to be doing, and I've just, these 3 days to give a little bit more context. So, and some of this might move around. So this is our draft on the days, etc. But currently on Monday the 24th, we'll be looking at highlighting the British Keelboat Academy sailors and the women that are part of that, and their profiles on social media, highlighting why they've got involved, how they've got involved, and why they enjoy the sport. And then we're going to pair that with highlighting the RYA's Women Match Racing Championships as an opportunity. We've got Lynn Billows, who is one of our race coach tutors, and she's going to talk about why she's become sort of a race coach, how she's got there, in a case study video. And then we've got the RYA Northern Ireland female RO program. So that's about race officers. So we can highlight that as an opportunity linked around getting involved with race management. So there's sort of links between the case studies and the opportunities that we're highlighting. And then on Thursday, we've got a case study that actually many of you may have already seen, but we are looking at highlighting that again with Margaret Norris, who's a senior instructor. And then the Midlands do a female instructor programme, as do many of the other regions. And so we're going to be highlighting that as an opportunity and ways of getting involved into instructing. So hopefully this is sort of putting this into some more context. So that's probably enough of me talking, and hopefully I've given you an understanding of how we may be able to get involved. And I'd really like to use the rest of the evening to look at how you and your organisation can get involved, and what can you guys get up to. So I'd like to go into some discussion, and I've posed a question firstly around how can you highlight the achievements of the women and girls within your organisation. Who do you have, and what could you be highlighting? So if anybody wants to make a comment, suggest potentially what you're thinking about getting involved with, please do raise your hand. We can, you can share your ideas or your questions around what I've spoken about so far. Got deadly silence at the moment. If anyone's got any questions on what I've spoken about so far, please do ask your questions. Just seen a hand gone up. Let me just find that out. So Jane Banburn, I'll come to you first. If you want to just unmute yourself, say which club you're from, and then ask your question.
I'm from the Deeburn Yacht Club, which is in Woodbridge, Suffolk. Okay. We're quite a small club, but I've been concerned about the situation with the lack of women sailing for a while. And I was just going to mention something that I've tried to do, which is feature stories about women progressing in the club in our newsletter. And there was one particular woman who had never sailed before, and she wrote up her story, and then I used pictures of her over the last 3 years to show in picture form how she'd progressed from a beginner to racing in our sort of club races.
That, Jane, that's fantastic, and exactly the type of things that, you know, we can highlight in the Steering the Course Festival. So it'd be great to, you know, potentially turn that into a slideshow and show.
That's what I think she'd be up for sharing that. So I wondered if that would be the sort of thing that you would, you know, find useful.
Yeah, definitely. And this is not about you guys providing stuff for the RYA to highlight. You know, Steering the Course is for you guys to get involved with as well. So you know, potentially this woman would maybe do a video interview, if not, you know, writing up and potentially pulling together all of those little news articles that you've done over the past 3 years into something. Would be a fantastic case study to highlight on your social media, on your website, tagging in the Steering the Course as a hashtag and the RYAs. And we'll talk about a little bit more about how we're going to share and unite everybody's stories a little bit later on. But yes, 100% we've just spoken about there is the sort of thing we could highlight for sure.
Thank you.
Was there anything else, Jane? Oh, you just put yourself on mute, so I assume that means nothing.
No, I was thinking of doing that. We've got, you know, Facebook page and website, so we could highlight stories about our successful women, because I think that's probably more meaningful for a club like ours than using sort of national level stars.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on potentially why you're feeling like that and describe that to the audience. So, you know, there is a concept where we get the like me with role models, and if someone can see themselves in a case study, in a story, they are more likely to be inspired by that. Jane, 100%, you know, people from your club and highlighting what they've achieved is going to inspire people like them to follow in their footsteps and look at the pathway that person's taken and learn from it and potentially take a very similar pathway themselves. Kathy, but just want to come to you. If you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, which club you're from, and ask your question or put your input.
Okay, I'm Kathy Butcher. I'm from Seska, which is a sailing club near Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk. And in answer to your question, then I think in our club, then the women racers.
Yep.
I think, yes, there's more men racers than women, but the women are good. And the other thing is those women that are willing to give of their time to help others without making a big deal of it, particularly some of our youngsters. So when they're out on the water, you know, some of the women are really good about, you know, little Bertie who's coming along but hasn't quite got his sail in the right place, and the women are really good about sort of encouraging them in the sport on the water.
Yeah, definitely a different group of potential sailors that you've highlighted there going into the racing. So yes, highlighting your your women racers, sharing their stories about, you know, why they enjoy racing, how they've got there, how they, you know, they learn to, you know, what the start line was, etc. All things that you could share around that. And I really liked what you were saying there around, you know, highlighting that, you know, they really, and you know, some of them may really enjoy helping others on the water, and that could help your club with new people coming in, knowing that actually there are going to be some people that are going to help them on the water if they want to try racing for the first time. So I quite like that message there, saying, you know, it's friendly and there's people that will help. Someone else had their hand up and potentially they've taken it down. Lisa, I've seen your hand has just gone flying up. I'll just unmute you. Introduce yourself and yeah, please ask a question or contribute your thoughts. Lisa, are you there? We can't hear you. You are unmuted though. I'm just wondering whether your microphone's working. Lisa, potentially you may need to type your question in the chat box and I will read it out and go from there. Simon, we'll come to you next. You're unmuted from our end, but you will need, yep, fantastic.
Okay.
If you could say which club you're from and then, yeah, give your contribution.
Yeah, it's Simon. I'm from Bartley Sailing Club, which is right in the middle of Birmingham, as far away from the sea as possible. But we do sail there. I think what we can do, we've just been helped out by the RYA coaches to do a Women on Water session. There were some very interesting things happened there. One is that half the female participants wanted it and the other half saw it as patronising. So I think there's kind of some stigma we've got to unravel there. So I think positive promotion of getting women together as a group rather than a mixed group, because the people who did participate had a great time, and a lot of it was about building confidence, and that seemed to be a common theme, even with the competent racers. When they're on a start line with a lot of guys who are shouting and yelling, they don't quite have that same level of aggression, and they pause a bit. So there's something that's got to be worked on there. But I think for me, just listening to the sort of talk and the approach here, I think it'd be great just to have stories from both the novice end, and we've got some sort of ladies who've been world champions in their time, and kind of have both ends of that spectrum of the person trying to learn and trying to find their way into the club racing, and also those who aren't so interested in racing but want it more as a social sailing activity and what they get out of it and what their next plans are. So I was thinking a kind of a daily feature on our Facebook site, just to featuring an individual and their story, and all age ranges, all abilities, just to kind of promote who's at the club and show their faces on in that way.
If you've got female instructors, race officers, highlight as many as possible to show all the pathways through your club and where people can get involved. And you're talking about your women session. Actually, that's probably going to fall into the next discussion of opportunities and highlighting the opportunities you've got that encourage people to get involved. Vicky, if we come to you next, you're unmuted my end, so as with everyone else, introduce yourself first.
Hi, I'm Vicky. I'm from X Sailing Club in Exmouth, Devon. We're really fortunate. We've got a very active lady sailing group, which has been established on and off probably for about 7 or 8 years, certainly for the 7 years that I've been at the sailing club. And it's changed actually in how it's operated and how it's run. We've had some years where it's only been sort of 7 women involved and they've all wanted to do dinghy sailing. We had our most successful season 2 years ago where we had about 68 women involved in all areas, so dinghy and racing and cruiser cruising, cruiser racing. You know, we try to cover it across the board. The main problem that we've got is that almost we've become a victim of our own success, in that we're now not getting so much support because people in the sailing club seem to assume that we've already nailed it. We've already got all the women into it that we need to, and it's like, no, we're always getting new members. We've got new young ladies coming up through the club, and it's trying to keep that energy still going, and that's our hardest bit, and trying to keep my volunteers motivated to still want to actually participate in the activities and offer them fresh each season to new people. but it has been very successful, and we've had some really lovely success stories with ladies that, you know, started to do the dinghy sailing, and she now owns, one lady in particular now owns her own cruiser, which is awesome, and she's out racing, you know, every Tuesday and Thursday, which has been brilliant. But yeah, what you're saying about social media campaigns, I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago about marketing and things, so we've sort of gone back to the management committee and said this is what we want to do, and they're actually on board, which is great, and I'm hoping that I can sort of channel this into it somewhat as well.
That's really exciting to hear, yeah, sounds like exactly how you've wrapped it up. You're a bit of a victim of your own success, but hopefully you can. One of the things that hopefully will help reinvigorate and keep the motivation is what you've said there also around, you know, that's a very attractive opportunity for people to come into your club and see. And it's, you know, there are probably women looking for those style of opportunities. So yeah, just because it's successful doesn't mean that it needs to stop. It means that it's something that actually should be carried on. And it'd be great to find out a little bit more about that, because it sounds like there's some really good practice that we can potentially share. And as with everything that we're talking about this evening, we are going to ask you to share what you're intending to highlight with from your club's point of view on your social media, in your newsletters, and on your websites, etc. And from there, if there's anything that we want to support you to turn into larger case studies, we will get in touch. So we'll look at that in the next steps a little bit later on this evening. I'm just going to look at the questions. I think a couple of people may have asked some questions while we've been talking. I just need to bring it out into the thing. Lisa, you've typed away here. So we have a lady sailing group at Ditson Sailing Club. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I haven't quite. Which is for all abilities of sailors. We have help and instructors from other club members and women enjoying non-competitive sailing. Lisa, sounds like a fantastic thing to be highlighting as part of this, and telling case studies of, you know, the women that are there, their stories, why they've got involved, and also, you know, that as an opportunity for people to get involved in sailing at your club. On the screen, I sort of highlighted who we can highlight, and at least it's just been triggered from what you've said here about, you know, we have help with instruction, and we've not spoken about too much about the members and your volunteers that are instructors, and how we can encourage more people to become instructors or race officers or mark layers or race officials. Maybe you've got women on your committees, potentially you've got a female commodore or vice commodore. So these are all people that we could be highlighting, because they're going to inspire the next generation of women to come through into those roles. And as I highlighted earlier on, the higher we do go up sort of in those responsibility areas, the larger and the smaller representation that we get of women represented. So sort of the disproportion of male to female is larger, with a smaller representation of women. So you know, we need to be highlighting some of those stories as well. I just want to wrap up this discussion, because we've got a second one looking at opportunities, and I'm just conscious of time. So just to highlight some of the ideas, they can be wrapped up, you know, telling their stories was coming up in that a lot, and that's, you know, why they sail, why they instruct, why they're a judge or a race officer. They could be written case studies, they could be videos, they could be a photo and a quote. You know, it could be very simple. And you know, we also want to highlight how much female volunteers contribute to your activity and the roles they partake in, and everyday women, as well as those sort of higher, more national inspirational women that have, you know, had huge success on the national circuits and within sailing as well. So you guys have really, you know, you've been bang on the money with this one. And sort of where we can share these and how we can share these, I've indicated this already, but the RWA is really going to be concentrating on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook mainly because this is where we see a lot of clubs with Facebook pages. We've also got an RWA Instagram page that we will be looking to highlight your initiatives, your stories on as well. So we'll talk about how this is going to become a bit more united slightly later on. The next discussion that I wanted to have with you was more about the activities that you could deliver to promote women and girls, and you know, these are opportunities to get involved. So we've already mentioned the sort of women on water opportunities, but is anybody thinking of any other initiatives that they might put on during the 10 days or use the 10 days to promote opportunities that are coming up later on in the season? And have you got any considerations with that? Marie, we'll come to you. Marie Marshall, I've unmuted you.
Hi, I'm from the Nottingham Sailing Club in Nottingham, and we run an improver session every month for people. And I've just thought that maybe what we could do is sort of mentor up sort of more inexperienced sailors with women sailors with women who are more experienced, because we've now developed quite a few. There's a couple of instructors, well, 3 instructors, women instructors. We're quite a small club, and there are quite a few improvers. So what we could do on that particular Sunday that would fall in that time is have a mentoring system where we're buddy up and, you know, get in our boats and support each other, really.
Marie, that sounds like a fantastic idea, and you know, a mentoring style program, and those style programs have been proven to be, you know, really successful with women for many of the reasons we've actually spoken about this evening. I've heard, you know, the words, you know, building confidence, ensuring that the women know, you know, that they can get on a start line, and giving them the confidence to go up there and shout with the men, yeah, the mentoring programs can be a very successful way of doing that. The Magenta Project have done this on from their point of view as well. So, you know, they do have mentors that they give to younger women to help them come along through the yachting focus that they've got. But you could do that within your club for intermediate sailors, bringing along, you know, more novice sailors. You mentioned that you had sort of 3 instructors that were women. Actually, they could mentor some of your more experienced sailors, potentially to, you know, work up to becoming instructors themselves. So, you know, let's also think about, you know, some opportunities to help, you know, not only inspire new people into the sport, but inspire our current sailors to take that next step into another area of our club, or supporting with the racing if they've got a bit more of a competitive edge to them. Bob, you just put your hand up. If you'd like to unmute yourself and yeah, share your comment or question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Bob.
Hello. Hello. Yes, I'm from Tor Point Mosquito Sailing Club in Cornwall, and 2 years ago now we got grant funding from Sport England for a couple of brand new boats, which were delivered during COVID and have yet to hit the water. So in fact, this is an ideal opportunity for us to launch some taster sessions and hopefully to fit in with the same timescale as this initiative.
Yeah, running some sort of female-focused taste sessions could be a fantastic way to inspire some new people into the sport and give them the opportunity to do that. And having some new boats as well is always going to help the temptation with that. So that sounds like a really nice initiative to be highlighting, Bob. And yeah, some, you know, either female only or some taste sessions that has female instructors could be yeah, a great opportunity to put on. So yeah,
yes,
agree with that one, Rob.
I think we've managed to bring on some of our senior cadets towards assistant instructor level. So I think again that's a good piece of a good news thing. So we've got 3 young girls who've come into that category.
Yeah, Bob, that sounds like a great, you know, again, case study to highlight. And it'd be really nice to couple that potentially with an assistant instructor course a few weeks after the Women in Steering 10 days to enable you to highlight them as a case study. You know, they got involved last year, this is how they got involved. You know, they can share why they got involved and that, you know, they've enjoyed it and what they get out of it. And then you compare that with saying, and there's an assistant instructor course coming up in, you know, a month's time, 2 months time, for example, or, you know, potentially September. But you know, you can marry those 2 up. Jane, I think you put your hand up. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, as I said before, we're quite a small club, so we've got limited number of volunteers to run any kind of activity, and we've already set our sailing program for the year. So the only thing that I would be able to do is somehow build on existing events in some way. And I wondered if anybody got any ideas how I could do that. So I don't think I'd be able to set up anything separate. I'd have to use normal what's in the program already.
Yeah, and Jane, I'm really glad you've said that, because that is something that I do want to highlight. We're not expecting everybody to rush out and put on new activity to get themselves involved with this. You can get involved using your current activity, but also you've just said here, you know, you could use your current activity to tweak and put something else on or open it up slightly. Does anybody have any ideas? Patricia, you've just put your hand up, so potentially you've got an idea for Jane in that area. You may need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Trisha. One of the things that we have, this is at Rudyard Lake Sailing Club, which is up in the top of Staffordshire, and we have a Saturday within the 10 days where we have our junior training, and at the moment we're doing junior training in the morning and then junior race training in the afternoon. But in parallel to the junior race training, we're doing like family sailing. And what we're thinking of, and we're the same as you, that we've already got dates and things in our calendar. So what we're actually thinking for that family sailing day is putting a female focus and trying to get the mums out sailing. And we're going to get some of our junior instructors, our female and male junior instructors, to take them out, and then encourage them after that to go out sailing with their children. So that's what we're going to be doing. So that's kind of using what we've already got in our program. And I think something else is for the if you've got like racing, it could be that you want to consider maybe giving a if you've got like 2 Sundays within that 10-day window, you could actually think about giving a prize to the top female over those 2 Sundays, or if you've got other races during the week, or if there's something that you could do, you could possibly do that. to give a female helm prize?
Patricia, they are all really, really strong ideas. You know, it doesn't have to be new activity, it's tweaking that current activity to put the focus on the women that would be, you know, potentially getting involved or encouraging more to get involved. So, you know, if you have got racing, it could be that you have a women's start as part of that racing as well. You could draw out a prize, as you were saying, for the fastest all-female crew or helm, you know, combination around that. You could, but if you've got these people that would like to do this, you could have some women come and shadow a race officer that is running the racing to learn how to become a race officer themselves. Maybe you've got a female race officer that you could put on to run the racing that weekend. So, you know, you could do some, you know, small tweaks that will bring the focus more to female participation and stories that then you can highlight as part of this. Has anybody got anything else that they wish to contribute at this stage? I'm not seeing any new hands. What I'll do is I'll just go to sort of an overview of potential ideas that we're going through. So, and this one, Jane, could help you. Bring a female friend along to your current sessions. So whether or not there's space to do that, you'd need to ask yourselves, but it's a way of bringing those new people into your club, and also that taster element that we've already mentioned this evening. You could do a celebration of your Women on the Water group, make it a little bit special during those 10 days. You could use one of your activities that you've got going on, that you want to encourage more women into, as an opportunity to start the conversation with your female membership about why they may not be getting involved, what needs to happen to encourage them to get involved, and what opportunities they're looking for. So this could be as simple as, you know, creating an event and starting a conversation, and that doesn't have to be face to face. It could be online, like we're doing this evening. We've already sort of mentioned opportunities for aspiring female instructors and coaches, and looking at potential shadowing opportunities of your current teams that are delivering those positions and those roles. We've said about taste sessions, women at the helm events or races as part of your normal racing, female race management teams. If you've got those people within your club already, it's an opportunity to get them out on the water. And you know, you could look at, yeah, like I said, pulling out the female competitors and making their own sort of race league, and giving prizes for that. You could also look at setting up a timed challenge over a set course over those 10 days. So if we look at a lot about what we've learned through COVID, and creating opportunities on the water that people can get involved with when they are available, this could be one that we bring in and focus it at women. So I know Hillhead, for example, they do a stag, SIG challenge, like they, you know, who can do the course the fastest. So there's some ideas for you to add what we've discussed this evening. So next steps, hopefully, and it sounds like many of you have already sort of pulled together your rough plans, and they all sound fantastic, and we would love them to be involved. The next step is really for you to let us know what you're planning. There is a sign-up form that we've shared with some of the communication. It's been in the last club room article on this. I'll also share it with you and these slides following this evening. And on that form, it asks for the name of your organisation, a contact point, and then a quick description around the activities that you're looking to get in, to highlight as part of steering the course. Or if you're not too keen on filling out forms, you can send an email to sports.development@raa.org.uk and give the same sort of description of what you're looking to get involved with, and we can then use that to start a conversation. If you've got any questions, please do ask those questions through that email, and we'll be happy to answer them. And please do go away and spread the word with any other clubs that you're talking with, any organisations that you're talking with, any women that you think may like to get involved, and encourage them to get involved themselves. Now, I have said we'll talk about how we're going to coordinate that level of sharing what you're up to. Once you've signed up, we will share with you a briefing note on this, but the basic plan is that there'll be some hashtags and some handles to be included on your social media posts, and they will be linked to sort of the RYA's main pages and the RYA's regional pages, and a hashtag called, which is steering the course, obviously the name of the festival, and that will notify the owners of those pages that you've tagged us in, which means that we can then reach down and share those posts. And so our intention is to share what you've been up to, and those tags and hashtags will bring them together on those social media platforms to have one impact rather than us all individually having our own small impacts. So hopefully what I've just described has made sense. By signing up, we'll be able to also keep you up to date, and we intend to share some of the ideas that are coming through from you guys as we move forward. So please do sign up, and then we'll keep you updated with plans, etc., moving forward. And I really look forward to hearing your plans for getting involved over the 10 days.